Mr. Knightley comes over and reads the letter, and he makes some snarky comments about Frank Churchill, which are deserved. Says, when Frank Churchill said he made a terrible mistake, it's like, yeah, this is true. And his opinion of Frank Churchill improves a little bit when he realizes that Frank realizes just how badly he was playing things. Um, and he was kind of cheered up when Jane broke the engagement because he's like, yes, you should have never agreed to this, and your suffering is your own fault. So but he doesn't really feel bad. He feels bad for Jane, and he knows that her suffering is largely, or is at least somewhat, her own fault. But he feels that that's probably too harsh for her. And then he goes on and he talks with Emma. It's like, okay, I want to get engaged. I want to get married to you, but how are we going to do this? And they had both thought, hey, we'll just move your father in with us at Donwell. And Emma and him were, it's like, yeah, I'd thought about that, but it just wouldn't work. He won't like to move. It may make him sick. It may kill him, and nobody wants that. So they're like, and here Mr. Knightley comes up with the idea, hey, I'll just leave Donwell and move to Hartfield. And so both of them are huge mansions. And Emma is like, you can't do that. That's just not done. And, it's like, you don't leave one estate and just move to something that's equal. Move in with a wife to something that's equal. It's like, no, you move the wife in. And also, as part of this, she realized that she wasn't upset about her nephew maybe losing inheritance if Mr. Knightley gets married and has kids. She realized that that was just an excuse in her mind of just an excuse of her mind to dislike the idea of Mr. Knightley marrying anybody. And that's an interesting thing about people. People have this tendency to think something is true and then work backwards to justify it. So she didn't want Mr. Knightley to get married. Well, why wouldn't she want Mr. Knightley to get married? He's a friend of hers. She wants him to be happy. Oh, he can't get married because then my nephew will lose out on the estate when he dies in 60 years or 40 years or 20 years or whatever. No, he can't get married to protect my nephew. And so, this is just like bad logic. But she didn't realize that it was bad logic. Because even though Mr. Knightley's brother isn't going to be inheriting any estate, he is a fairly well-off lawyer in London. So he probably has a house there. He probably is making good money. He may not be two carriages rich, but he has a good deal of money. He's not hurting. And his son, Emma's nephew, will not be hurting. Because, here he is. He can go become a lawyer like his father, get all of those great connections, perhaps get into trade. Lots of money being made running cotton to North America, or bringing cotton from North America to run in the mills. I mean, there's good money there. So, her nephew is not going to be badly off. So that whole line of Mr. Knightley can't marry because of my nephew is just bad logic. And, she was using that as a justification for what she believed. And rather than looking at the real reason of why she wanted it. And a lot of people do that. And a lot of people will give bad reasons for things. And when confronted of, hey, that's a bad reason, they'll pick another bad reason. because they often don't want to fall back on their original prejudice, their original thought of, I don't want Mr. Knightley to get married to anybody because I love him. So, uh, yeah. So it looks like Mr. Knightley is convincing her, hey, I'll just move to Hartfield. And I was like, your property manager has kind of got to agree to this because he's going to be running things even more than he already is. But I mean, that going from running 80% of the thing to running 100% isn't that much of a step. So that's probably not going to be an issue. But the big issue is what's going to happen to Harriet. And that is the only thing in this that may turn out to be sad. So hopefully this gets resolved soon.